Radhe Radhe, Dandava Pranam. Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Vinobihari Mandir, Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Pavan Gauri Guruvarga ki jai, Pratik Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vinobihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Harinam Sankirtana ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So we will begin on page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, with Mangalacharan, Vandeham Shri Guru, Bande apostrophe Ham, Shri Guru.
Dandavat Pranam,
Dandavat Pranam. Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yuta Kamalam, Shri Guru, Vaisnava, Shri Rupam, Sagrajatam, Sahamana. Tam sajivam sarvetam savadhutam parijana sahitam Krishna chaitanya devam Shri Radha Krishna param Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhandatamshcha Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayani Namine Shri Krishna Leela Katane Sudaksham Odaya Madhurya Guna Ishtayuktam Varam Varinyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shirasha Namami Tridamvinam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Shri Krishna Pada Jagadaika Hridi Chaitanya Leela Amrita Sarasa Narayanam Tvam Satatam Prapadye Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtrakya Deshatarine Namah Om Vishnupadaya Gaurapresthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshavayati Namine Patimartyacharitraya Swashmitananchapaline Jiva Dukhe Sadarkaya Shinama Premadayine Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabhanami Devi Yadikaya कृपाभये कृष्ण सम्बन्ध विज्ञान दैवे प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमध्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिदा श्रीगौरकरुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनपालिने रूपानुगन्धिरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तध्वन्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भरसम्बोधे पदम्बुजायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते गौराविर्भावभूमे स्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रिय वैष्णव सर्वभौमश्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नम्ने गौरध्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतं सुरतोपङ्गो मम मन्दोन्नतेर्गति वत्सर्वस्वपदम्बोज राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमदो श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्री श्रीराधा श्रीनगोविन्ददेव प्रेष्ठादिभिः सेव्यमानः स्मरामि श्रीमन्द्रसरसारम्भी वंशिवततस्थितः कर्षन्नेमुस्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीयस्तु नः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियायै केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौरभक्तवृन्द चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मा सपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनम् हरेर्नामेव केवलं Sudevi is teaching at the moment, so she'll be coming just a little bit late. So I have to play the drum. I get to play the drum, which I like. I like the drum. गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना.
Page 360 in the little songbook. And if you're new to the thread, if you keep scrolling down, you'll find that Jiva Pavana Prabhu mercifully always adds the kirtans and bhajans so that we can all chant together. So keep scrolling down and look for the name Jiva Pavana Prabhu, and usually he writes in capitals lyrics, so it's easy to find. And also periodically he'll add nectar here and there. Thank you so much, Jiva Pavana Prabhu, for your beautiful seva.
गुरुदेव कृपा करके 360 Gurudeva.
Kripa, K-R-P-A, many start with Gurudev.
And it's karke, K-A-R-K-E, not koro ke, karke, which is because the bhajan's in Hindi. Gurudeva kripa karke मुझको अपना लेना. गुरुदेव कृपा करके गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना. इस जग में अकेला हूँ
नहीं जाता बुलाना मुझे इस जग में अकेली हूँ
तेरे द्वार का भिखारी हूँ कभी दिल से भुला देना
तेरे दार की भिखारी नहीं दिल से भुला देना
गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना गुरुदेव कृपा करके
मुझको अपना लेना
मैं शरण परा तेरी चरणों में जगा देना मैं शरण परा गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना जयो गुरुदेव जयो गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय प्रभु पादो जय प्रभु पादो जय प्रभु पादो जय प्रभु पादो परंपरा गुरु परंपरा गुरु परंपरा गुरु परंपरा श्री गुरुदेव की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय श्री गुरु परंपरा की
I don't know how to sing it.
It takes a lot of training to sing with the tanpura. You have to hear the fine notes, and actually for different ragas there should be different sympathetic strings and different notes and tones. And
So when Subi comes in about 7 or 8 minutes, we'll have the harmonium.
okay. Thakura Vaishnavagana, Kori E Nivedana, page 43. Thakura, Vaishnava, Vaisnava, Gana.
43.
By Srila Narottam Das Thakur.
Jai.
What day is today? One second. Okay. Yeah.
Is his day coming?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's Narottam Das
No,
Thakur.
tomorrow is Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Goswami Maharaja's day.
Oh, nice.
So you know Bhaktivedanta Thakur, so many.
Yeah.
We're not used to being in India at this time, so all of our
Our days.
days are, I don't even know what year it is anymore. I think it's COVID-20.
Okay, Thakura Vaishnava Gana.
I'm going to try it with a tambura once
Okay.
more.
Sorry.
ठाकुर वैष्णव गण करिए निवेदन This go off so that Sudevi can be with us on this bhajan that we just sang, Thakur Vaisnava Gana by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. In here it's very telling here, Keshe Thori More Koro Par. Take hold of the hair on my head and rescue me from this ocean. Really, we're all in this condition, being bound in this material ocean, Bhava Sagar. Savita Didi once told us that there was a disciple of Srila Gurudev, lady disciple, who was departing from this world. And as that lady disciple was departing from this world, she was crying out to Gurudev, Gurudev, Srila Gurudev, like this, calling to him. So immediately after that disciple departed from this world, Savita Didi, she went to tell Srila Gurudev about the departure of this devotee, lady disciple of Gurudev. And so she was in Gurudev's room and she was telling Gurudev what had taken place, how this devotee was departing, and how as she was departing from this world, she was calling Gurudev's name, crying out to him. She said that Gurudev started to become red and flush. His whole demeanor changed. And then he became like quite intense in his mood. And he said something to the effect of, even if any of my disciple goes to hell, I will personally go there and pull them out by their hair. And then he fainted. And then she started screaming for Naveen, Madhu Maharaj, Naveen. That time his name was Naveen Krishna Brahmachari. And he came, what happened, what happened? And she said, I don't know, Gurudev just fainted. And then he woke Gurudev up from that. And Gurudev, when he woke up, he said, what happened? And did I say anything? They were like, no, everything's okay. But just seeing that mood, this is the nature of the form of the condensed mercy of Krishna. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj said, you have no idea how much energy it takes to rescue even one jiva. If you could imagine how much energy Guru and Vaishnava give to rescue one jiva. He said, what kind of a shock comes to them when you give up that process, when you neglect to follow those orders? What kind of a shock comes? They have expended so many gallons of spiritual blood for your benefit, and you just leave it. He said, you cannot imagine the pain and the shock that comes. Why? Because Guru is more than millions of mothers of this world. So naturally, Vatsalyata, Mamata, this mood of helping is there. They cannot help it. As our Param Gurudev's Pranam mantra says, Jiva duke sadaktaya, seeing the incredible suffering of the jivas in this world, they try to give the best thing they can, and that is Sri Harinam. So that for us is a source of hope. Look at myself, look at my condition. What taste do I really have in Krishna Bhajan? What taste do I have in Harinam, in Guru Seva, in the process of bhakti? I'm so utterly disgraceful. Here he's saying, Narottam is saying, I am so extremely fallen and wicked, and my fate is causing me to drown in the terrible ocean of material existence. And then he's praying from this position, or feeling like, he's feeling that he's in that position where he is not, and we're feeling that we are above it where we are not. We are actually in this position. So he's praying, take me by my hair and rescue me from this ocean. So it's a very powerful prayer, especially for those of us who are still conditioned souls. And the proof of being conditioned is that we might think that I'm above it, because all of the transcendental souls feel that I am so low and so fallen, and all of the conditioned souls think I'm doing pretty good. So having this kind of mood is extremely favorable for bhakti, this prayerful mood. I just wanted to share that with you. So many times also disciples of Srila Prabhupada, upon their departure from this world, have expressed in shock because they had given up the path of bhakti. There was one devotee lady who came to tell her story to the devotees. She said, why did I come here? She said, I was married for 20 years. I had no idea. I knew my husband had been, a hippie in the past and, meddled with different religions, but I had no idea of anything. He never told me. She was just living her normal life. She said, but in the very last moments, he said, Prabhupada, you have come. Prabhupada, you have come. I can't believe you've come. And then he left this world. She was like, what is this? And then she spoke to his parents. And his parents said, oh, he was involved with the Hare Krishnas for some time, and Prabhupada was his guru. So she actually told this story to the devotees, that in his last moments, although for all of those years, he was in such a state that even his own wife didn't know, still, he said, oh, Prabhupada, you have come. How merciful are they, and how are their hearts bleeding upon seeing the suffering of the jivas of this world. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said, if even one jiva in all of the material universes is rescued from this fortress of Maya, by my endeavor, I will consider that my mission is successful, that my service to Mahaprabhu has been successful, if even one jiva is truly rescued. So what we can do is try to make it easier for them, that when they say, put that rope around your waist, we tie it around really tight, and we hold on and we don't let go. Hold on to there, as Gurudev told Sudevi, hold my little finger and don't let go. And she said, I won't, Gurudev. And he said, never let go. So, it's very powerful, these prayers of our Vaishnava Acharyas, how deeply they connect to our hearts and our current situations. So we pray to these Vaishnavas to please awaken this mood of sincerity within our hearts. So Subi's back, so is the Tanpura and the harmonium. Thank you, Subi, for coming.
Jiva Pavana posted a lecture called We Are Not Masters to Chastise.
We are not masters to criticize or to chastise. I've seen that one many times.
Okay, Nitai Gunamani Goranga Balite too.
Nitai Gunamani Amar, what page? Page 61?
61. Thank you, Subi.
how good of a drummer Sudevi really is. She's awesome. We couldn't hold it together without her.
I couldn't.
We.
Gora, 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 Gora. I was bad.
Gora pahu na bhajiya maino.
Time.
Shri Narottam Das Thakur. Page. Did Gurudev teach you how to sing this one? He was.
Yeah.
And then he told you afterwards, Ready, go down and Hita, right?
No.
83.
He sang this one to me, and then Madhav Maharaj sang it, but Madhav Maharaj has a special kind of tuning. And so, after Gurudev sang it to me, he went in his room, and he said, I want you to sing it in this tune tonight. So he taught me it, and I was trying to hold it in my mind, and then Madhav Maharaj came and said, did you get the tune? I said, I think so. And then he started singing it in his way, which was a little bit of a different kind of tuning. And so I couldn't get it, and I was so freaked out. But anyway, Kishori Mohan Prabhu helped me, and we sang it for Gurudev.
Gurudev was looking at Sudevi's face. He's like, you know this? He's like, Gora pahu na bhajiya maino. And then the second one, he said, Prema Ratana. And he was teaching her the song, just like telling it to her face. Where was that? Morulimba?
Morulimba,
In the house there.
When you go down.
Oh.
In the downstairs.
Right. The downstairs section of Kishori's house.
Yeah.
Yes. So many beautiful pastimes took place in that house. Okay.
And again, if you're new to the thread.
Now, again.
If you are new to the thread,
yes.
If you keep scrolling down to the bottom, you will find that Jiva Pavana Prabhu posts the lyrics, and also he posted a very wonderful lecture. Also, so much nectar here and there he's posting, so please keep scrolling down so you can join us in the bhajans. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. So, Gora Pahu na bhajiya mainu. By not worshipping my Lord Gauranga, Gaur Sundar, I have invited death, and by neglecting the precious jewel of prem, I have lost it. Attending to worthless trifles, I have thrown away my real wealth. I have drowned myself in my misdeeds. Forsaking the association of devotees, I have sported with non-devotees. For this reason, I am being choked by the snare of my actions. I have constantly drunk the deadly poison of material sense enjoyment, and thus I have not become absorbed in the nectarian mellows of Gaur Kirtan. For what happiness does this life continue? Why doesn't Narottam Das simply die?
I just want to say that if you have the black songbook and you go through that one, I think it has a picture of Gaur Nitai on it. In there, I find that the translations are a lot sweeter and
a lot more rasik.
They have a lot more mood to them. So if you do have the old songbook that was black and Mahaprabhu and Gaur Nitai are dancing together, if you read that translation of this, we were singing it with that mood when Gurudev was here. This is quite different. It's the same general meaning, but that one was expanded upon by our Gurudev and Vaisnava, so it was a little bit more full.
Vichitra Didi had done the service of making the previous songbooks for many years, and she did go to Srila Gurudev and so many other Vaishnavas to attain their clarifications. What is the deeper meaning of these bhajans? And so they would give the commentaries on that, and so she would infuse those commentaries into the translation in such a way that we could feel their bhavs and the ras also that was coming from them. These are nice, they're good, don't mistake, they're nice and good, but those ones had a certain kind of
feeling.
Let's say that, yes, the mood in them was deep or deeper. So. This is a very heavy mood. Srila Prabhupada would sing this bhajan and weep. And it's actually a calling, a crying out for mercy.
Jiva Pavana Prabhu posted Srila Prabhupada's purport on this song.
I didn't even
He's
have to
ahead of
say it.
you.
You're way ahead of us, Prabhu. Thank you. That's what we mean by Jiva Pavana Prabhu, is just sharing the nectar. Thank you. Gora Mahu Na Bhajiyamai unless someone has a specific request.
There is no request.
What page is Jai Jai Sundarananda Kumar?
Should be those.
It's page 344. 344. I don't know how to say it in Hindi. 45 is, I think, Pentalis.
Hare
Jyoti si Kishori mere angana mein dole re.
Let's wait to see if they have it.
It's in all the. It's there. I know it's there. I've seen it.
Okay.
C-H. Oh, maybe it's. No, it should be C-H-O-T-I. Jyoti si Kishori.
Well, it's not in the songbook.
Oh yeah, it's not in this one.
What? It's in. Oh, never mind. We won't do that now. Are you sure it's not here?
Yes.
Why would they take that out? That's like the global favorite. Okay. We will sing another bhajan to Srimati Radhika.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we're going to sing Shri Radhe.
Let them find the
Page
page.
366, Braja Jana Manasukakari, P-R-A-J-A,
M-A-N-A.
Braja Jana
Jana
Mana.
Give them a minute.
366. And if you don't have the songbook, Jiva Bhavana Prabhu will post it in the
Presently.
most recent or the final comment in the thread.
So just scroll down.
Shri Radhe Braja Jana Manasukakari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Shyam Shyama Shyama Radhe Shyama Shyama Braja Janana Sundakari Radhe Shyama Shyama Shyama
It's hard for us to scroll down when we're playing the instruments. So forgive us for not doing it.
Jyoti, see you tomorrow.
Jyoti, see you tomorrow.
गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद् भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणीति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणम्। First of all, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times at the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, astottara Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta, Narayan, Goswami Maharaj. And the same thousands of Dandavat Pranam at the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, astottara Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, and all of our Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga. And I offer my Dandavat Pranam to all Vaisnavas, past, present, and future, including those who are present with us today. My Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Dandavat Pranam.
Just checking to see if there are any questions. Please, can we sing Jyoti Si Kishori?
That'll be tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Please.
Yes. So today, we will continue going beyond Vaikuntha. This beautiful book here is a series of lectures. I wouldn't call it lectures, I call it Bhav Anuvad, manifestation of the beautiful moods of the heart of our Gurudev as he is commenting on the great work of Sri Sanatan Goswamipada, which is also a manifestation of what he has witnessed, Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So before entering into this heart literature, we will pray at the lotus feet of our Gurudev and at the lotus feet of Sri Sanatan Goswamipada in the words of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. Vairag Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnair Apayanan Mam Anubhikshamandam Kripam Budirya Paradukaduki Sanatanastam Prabhum Ashrayami. Begging at their lotus feet that may even a particle of their moods which are present within these pages manifest within our hearts. So yesterday I read just a little bit because we were speaking about other subject matters. Quite often current events or current situations come up which bring about the necessity for discussing them, especially when it is very current. It is essential because the human brain and the human mind and the human intelligence, especially in Kali Yuga, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Yupadruta. That in this age, that we will have short lives, we will be unlucky, less intelligent, means we won't even be able to retain. Our memory will be short. Means it won't be, the capacity of our memory will be much less. And so, because of this, we tend to easily forget things. So it is always pertinent or important to discuss current events in relation to Shastra so that we can see everything through the eyes of Shastra. It is practice to be able to see everything through the eyes of Shastra. Shastra, Chakshushaha. So now we're going to see through the eyes of Srila Gurudev, as he's seeing through the eyes of Sanatan Goswami. The words of our Guru Varga, the words of the pure devotees are non-different from Shastra. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Thakur says this. And our Gurudev and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, they've said, what is Scripture really? If you look in Scripture, it is nothing but the words of the pure devotees glorifying Krishna in relationship with his pure devotees. So therefore you will see, if you look anywhere, look in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shri Shuka Uvacha, Shonaka Uvacha, Shri Narad Uvacha, all of it is a compilation of the words of the pure devotees. So the pure devotees manifest Shastra. Their words are non-different from Shastra because they are receiving Shabda Brahma, transcendental sound vibration. Means they're completely tapped in. And so for the pure devotee, from the pure devotee, we will experience the pure flow. And from any other devotee, we may experience something which is not necessarily pure or transcendental. So it is essential that we stick very closely to the moods and the bhavs of the pure devotees if we want to move forward. And really the only way to do that, actually, honestly, truly, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says, is that we submit ourselves to and surrender to and hear from any current pure devotee. And the word pure, I'm emphasizing here, pure means there's no impurity. right? When you say pure or ananya, exclusive, one-pointed, unalloyed, means unmixed. There's nothing else mixed in there except for transcendental purity. If we hear Srimad Bhagavatam and especially Rasalila Katha from such a person who is completely pure of heart, then the result will be that we will also receive that mood. And if there's any inebriety in them, then we may also receive, not in them, but in someone that we're listening from, then we may also receive that inebriety. So it is essential that when persons like myself are speaking, that we must hold and stick very closely to the words, the teachings of our Guru Varga. Srila Gurudev has ordered us to preach on his behalf, and so we are trying our best to represent the teachings of Gurudev as we have heard them. So please forgive us in advance for any flaws in our understanding. So now we're hearing about a very interesting pastime. It is said that the personalities from the Madhva Sampradaya, although we are a branch of the Madhva Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Gauriya Sampradaya, but those who came before in the Madhva line don't like to hear this pastime. They can't believe it because Brahma is the first Guru in our Guru Parampara. How is it possible for the first Guru to become bewildered? Anything can happen by the will of Krishna. But we should understand that when a transcendental personality becomes bewildered, it is not by the action of Mahamaya, but the action of Yogamaya. So how was Jai and Vijay, how were they able to become bewildered by the Lord? Since Maya cannot even cross the Viraja, means the dividing, unlimited dividing line between the material world and the spiritual world, how can she enter Vaikuntha and cause any of the eternal associates of the Lord to fall down? This is quite impossible. I'm paraphrasing the words of Yudhishthira Maharaj as he is questioning Narada Muni in Srimad Bhagavatam. According to all Shastra, this is impossible. I cannot accept this, he said. So how is it possible that they became bewildered? So then the whole pastime is told by the will of the Lord, by his internal potency, Yogamaya, this was able to happen. It is different than us, Baddha Jivas, who are bound by Mahamaya, or the external energy of the Lord, because of our nature of being Tatashta. Tatashta means we're in the marginal potency, like the riverbank or the shore of the ocean. Can we define the shore of an ocean? Where exactly is the shore? Is it on high tide or low tide, or where in between? It's a marginal place. Means it can be this way or that way, depending. So us as Baddha Jivas, we can either go toward Krishna or go toward Maya. Meaning we can be under the covering of Mahamaya, or we can be under the covering of Yogamaya. Besides that, we don't really have much power or potency. That is our independence, to choose Mahamaya or Yogamaya. And then either way, we are covered. In the material world, Daivihesha Gunamayi Mamamaya Duratteya, Krishna's divine energies in the form of the three modes of material nature are extremely difficult to overcome. But if we surrender to Krishna, then we will be under the guidance of his other Maya, or his internal Maya potency, which is known as Yoga Maya. And that all those who are under the protection of Yoga Maya, their nature is exclusively made of service to the Lord. So even Jai and Vijay, when they came as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they were doing so because the Lord desired to fight. So they were actually doing service to him, whether we realize it or not. Whereas we, in this place, maybe the pure devotees, the Uttama Mahabhagavat, might see that everyone is serving the Lord. And that might be the highest vision, but we should not pretend that we are there. We must see according to our level. And so we will see, I should not pretend to be Madhyam if I'm not Madhyam, and I shouldn't pretend to be Uttam if I'm not Uttam. This will create disturbance in society. So Kanishta Vaishnava sees according to their level, and they must endeavor to improve, but not pretend that they are above their adhikar. If I pretend to be an Uttam, then I'm a first-class bogus person. An Uttam may take the role of Madhyam, But anyone who is Kanishta should not pretend to be Uttam. And a Madhyam should not pretend to be Uttam. If we pretend, then how can we hear the call of Mahaprabhu? How will we hear this Jeev Jago if we're pretenders? Mahaprabhu is known as Patita Pavana, Savior of the lowly, Savior of the fallen, Savior of the needy. I've heard many Vaishnavas tell this, including Srila Gurudev Maharaj. But he's not known as Kapatta Pavana, Savior of the duplicitous. He demanded that Jagai and Marai speak all of their faults. That you reveal this, you confess. And in that confession, you repent. Srila Gurudev said, repentance means, I will never do this again. Ever. In my life, I will never do this again. So how are Jagai and Madai? For the rest of their life, although Mahaprabhu said they are now pure, still they were feeling themselves the most fallen. They themselves dug the ghat by their hands, and they served all of the Vaishnavas who would come to the ghat to bathe in Ganga, and always felt themselves so lowly, even though Mahaprabhu said now they are pure. If anyone criticizes them, if anyone judges them by their activities before they have been purified, then they will be guilty of aparad, of Vaishnava aparad. So, but what was their nature? Always feeling that I am the greatest sinner, begging the Vaishnavas for their mercy, not taking the role, oh, now I'm a pure devotee, so all of you worship me, serve me, massage my feet, and give me strawberries and cream. This is not how they were. The reason I said strawberries and cream is because when I was little, I always envied the position of the sannyasis and the gurus when I was growing up, because we all had like yesterday's doll and something called merge, which we won't talk about now. And they always had a fresh, beautiful plate of prasadam with strawberries and cream and all sorts of nice things. And I was like, wow, that's the good life. My brother, when he was very young, we went to see the local guru of our society. And that guru asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to take after my father and take his business, take over the business and blah, blah, blah. And then he asked my younger brother at the time was 6 years old. So the local guru asked my brother, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, a guru. And everyone was like, whoa! And my father said, watch out. He told the local guru, watch out, you have competition coming up. And the guru said to my brother, you mean a preacher? And my brother said, no, a guru. So this is just something sweet. So now I'm going to enter into this book. So here we're talking about Brahma. I was telling you that those in Madhva Sampradaya, before the Gaudiyas came, they don't like to hear this pastime, but we understand that by Krishna's Yoga Maya potency, anything is possible. Even Mahadev Shiva can become bewildered, as we know, by Mohini Murti. Even Narada Muni can become bewildered. As we know, there are so many pastimes of the Lord where even Narada Muni became bewildered by his Yoga Maya potency. Even Baladev Prabhu himself was bewildered, and he became quite upset at Krishna for doing that to him, which is part of this Leela. So we should understand that Krishna has so many different Shaktis and potencies, and because everything has manifest from him, not anything moves or functions without his sanction. So Baladev is from him, everything is from him, everything is for him. Yogamaya is from him and for him. Mahamaya is from him and for him. Ekala Ishvara Krishna, there is only one supreme controller, and that is Krishna. Arsavabhritya. Everything else is his servant. So now we're going to enter into this Brahma Vimohan Leela. How Lord Brahma himself was bewildered, placed into some kind of illusion by Krishna himself. So Gurudev was explaining that Krishna in Vrindavan is experiencing Nara Leela, which is human-like pastimes. And if Aishwarya were to take over, then it would disrupt the Leela. So within Krishna, there are all of the avatars. This is explained in Srimad Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. That within the original Adi Purush, all other forms are present. And so it is the Vishnu forms within him that kill the demons. But Krishna is simply the son of Yashoda, the friend of his friends, the beloved of Srimati Radhika and the gopis, playing with the cows. This is what Krishna of Vrindavan is doing, and it is the function of the forms, all of the other murtis within him to perform all other activities like killing demons and doing great things like bewildering the mind of Brahma. So Gurudev explained here that it was Chaitya Guru, Bhagavan, Guru in the heart, also known as Paramatma, who causes something to arise in someone's heart. He himself inspired the idea within Brahma for Brahma to create an obstacle so that Krishna's Leela would manifest. So within his heart, Paramatma or Parabrahma, Krishna, Bhagavan, made this possible. So this is also showing that all of the other forms of Bhagavan are subservient to the desire of the original Bhagavan. Even Mahavishnu is creating a situation so that he can just simply have darshan of Krishna. That Arjuna and Krishna went to rescue the 10 boys, the 10 sons of the Brahmins. For what purpose? Just so Mahavishnu could have darshan of Krishna. How beautiful is Krishna? So Brahma placed this obstacle so that Krishna could perform his human-like pastimes. Therefore, in the afternoon of the same day, he gave liberation to Aghasur. Krishna was with the other cowherd boys. So, the same day that he gave liberation to Aghasur, and Krishna glanced over all of his friends, and all of his friends, they awakened. Oh, you want to hear the Aghasura song? Sudevi? No. Come on, please.
This is embarrassing.
I know it's embarrassing, but still, there's some children watching. So this one we really loved, and we had a beautiful book that we would read when we were young, Aghasura, and it was so beautifully illustrated.
Just a picture of the cowherd boys going into Aghasura's mouth really happily, and Krishna playing a flute, looking like, what's happening?
I'm a little worried, but this song was always one of my favorites. So are you ready? Aghasura is the 8-mile-long snake friend of King Kamsa who came for the purpose of killing Krishna and Krishna's friends. So we're going to sing this song. My name is Aghasura, I'm fat and round. My lip is in the sky, my jaw is on the ground. My wide open mouth is just like a cave. Soon it will be Krishna's grave. From my mouth hot wind blows, from my eyes fire glows. Now I am waiting to swallow you. Please come in, dear boy of blue. There you go.
Gosh, that's been a long time.
Someone said it's not embarrassing, it's wonderful. That's for your children, Radhika Chandra. There you go. This is what we grew up with. These were the songs we grew up with to remind us of Krishna. We didn't have, those really morbid ones about people getting like...
Hansel and Gretel.
No, like Ring Around the Rosie. It's some reference to, what do you call it? Getting the plague or something. Ring Around the Rosie. Or that one where some cradle rocks in a tree and then falls down, and baby and all. We didn't have that when we were young.
When you come to Govardhan, Leela, we'll do the 10-minute Govardhan song.
There you go. So the same day that this Aghasura was liberated, after Krishna, he expanded himself within Aghasura, so much so that Aghasura could not, he choked, and he gave up his life. And then Krishna glanced over all his friends, and they all came back to life, back to consciousness. And then Brahma saw that the soul of Aghasura entered into the sky and then entered into the body of Krishna. This is the destination for demons, Sayujya Mukti. What kind? Ishvar Sayujya or Brahma Sayujya Mukti. This is feared and hated. No devotee even wants to think about this stuff, what to speak of, aspire for it. Srimad Narayan says in Srimad Bhagavatam, that even if I offer my devotees the 5 kinds of mukti, they will never accept them. Especially sayujya mukti, or merging into the form or the effulgence of the Lord, they will never accept this. Because the devotee does not want mukti. They don't want liberation. I just read a beautiful quote from Srila Prabhupada. Yesterday someone posted it. The devotee is not at all interested in attaining liberation from the suffering of this material world, or even liberation to Vaikuntha, or even Goloka Vrindavan. They don't want that. They just want to love and serve Krishna because that is their nature. So, the same day that Krishna gave liberation to Aghasur, he was with the other cowherd boys. They were very hungry and they all sat down to eat with great eagerness and great love, while laughing and playing and amusing one another. They were eating. In this connection, Srila Gurudev was explaining that they were completely carefree. Because they're all little boys. They don't think about doing everything properly. First do their achman and then chant their mantras. And then he said they were just taking things, eating them with their right or left hand, biting it, giving it to Krishna with their right or left hand. They didn't have, and Krishna was enjoying and relishing this so much. And because of their love and affection for Krishna, each cowherd boy saw that Krishna is sitting with me directly. Even though there were thousands and millions of them, still each one felt Krishna present with themselves. In the same way that millions of us can go outside and bask in the sun, and each one of us can feel the direct connection and effect of the sun, so they all felt Krishna's presence directly with themselves. That Krishna is eating with me, and they were receiving. Look what my mother made today. You should taste this. And Krishna was relishing the cooking of the mothers of all of these cowherd boys. And they would taste it and think, this is so wonderful. I want to offer this to Krishna. In no other avatar do we see this. Some will say, wait, Shabari, she did this for Sri Ram. She was eating and then giving to Ram. And you watch on any Ramayan, you can read it also in so many versions of Ramayan that she was taking something and giving it to Sri Ram. Gurudev said this could and does and never could happen. Absolutely not. Why? Ram is Maryada Purushottam. This only happens in Krishna Lila. So it's not that she was biting the fruit and giving it. But people said, but that's what happened. Well, where did you see that? Well, I saw it on the television series. But this is Rasavas. It's disrupting Ram's Leela. So Srila Gurudev explained, and I know I've told it before, but I'll just tell it quickly, that in those days, if you took one fruit from any tree, it might be that that entire tree or that entire orchard was considered kind of offered. So she would test one fruit from any tree and then know which tree has the sweetest fruit. And because she knew that one day Ram would come, she was waiting, always preparing the path, decorating it so beautifully with forest flowers, and bringing fresh fruit just in case he came. So she wanted to know which tree had the sweetest fruit. She would test one, and then she would pick the fruits from that tree. And so it was considered kind of offered, kind of not. Means kind of already eaten, bhog. And so she had those fruits, but she wasn't biting it and putting it in Krishna's mouth. Srila Gurudev said, never, never, and never. So what we see on television, even the depictions of the pastimes of the Lord, this also must be filtered through the eyes of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. We shouldn't just accept someone's artistic license. Gurudev explained this very clearly to us. We found it quite amazing because over 1 billion people believe it's one way. Just because 1 billion people believe something is one way doesn't mean they're right. That's why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said, if all of the bound souls and all of these material universes were to simultaneously in one voice shout at me the untruth, I alone would stand in the face of all of them and loudly and boldly declare the truth. Because it is possible that millions and billions of people could be wrong. We've seen it. We're all still bound in this material world, and we have not been able to extract ourselves by our own potency. We require help from above to liberate us from this burning well of material existence. Mercy ropes. We require the mercy ropes which are hanging from Goloka Vrindavan. Those ropes are the hand of Sri Guru. And they will rescue us from this terrible, blazing ocean of fire, as Srila Gurudev said. So therefore, with great eagerness and great love, while laughing and playing and amusing one another, they were eating. Brahma observed this and thought, this is the right time. The calves had continued moving on. By the influence of Yoga Maya, they had seen some especially green grass for grazing. So they went further and further ahead until they were very far away. So Krishna was taking his lunch with his friends, and those calves were following the greener and greener grass. That's where the original saying comes, the grass is greener. So they were following the greener grass. And as they were moving further and further away, then Brahma was taking that opportunity. The Sakhas, meanwhile, were still eating. And when the calves were beyond the eyesight of everyone, Brahma stole them. Some say that he took them to his own Brahmalok, and some say that he hid them in the caves of Govardhan. Govardhan is quite extensive, and there are many caves there. Mind you, Govardhan at the time of Krishna, 5,000 years ago, was much larger. Much larger. Remember, Govardhan was cursed at the time of Pulastya Rishi. This was in Treta Yuga? Maybe even Satya Yuga. He was cursed to shrink the size of a mustard seed every day because Pulastya became offended. He had brought Govardhan with the intention of bringing him to Kashi, which was flat and burnt out. And he wanted to make it a very beautiful place by bringing Govardhan there so that he could do his sadhana in a very beautiful surrounding. But by the will of the Lord, Pulastya Rishi was given some conditions. Two main conditions by Govardhan. If you place me down anywhere, you cannot move me from that place. And you cannot touch me in any impure condition. So Pulastya Rishi said, no problem. He was very powerful. By his mystic power, he was able to carry Govardhan. And he was carrying him very long distance from the Himalayas to Kashi. At that time, suddenly he had the urge to urinate. And so he just said, 1 minute, he placed Govardhan down and he went to go and urinate. He placed him where? Inside Brajamandal. He placed him down. And then he went to urinate. Our Gurudev would laugh so much. He was saying he was urinating for lakhs and lakhs of years. And then he came back and said, okay, chalo, let's go. Govardhan said, no, you placed me down here. So one of our agreements is that I would not move after you place me down. And you're in an impure condition. You've been urinating for thousands of years, so you cannot touch me. Pulastya Rishi became very angry and cursed him. I curse you for this, although you are so beautiful and grand and large, that you will shrink the width of a mustard seed every day. So some say it is by the curse of Pulastya Rishi, but really we know that it is in separation from Krishna, that Govardhan is like the heart of Srimati Radhika, that in that separation Giriraj is shrinking, dwindling, like Gadadhar Pandit. As soon as Mahaprabhu left this world, left his vision, immediately he became like frail and like depleted of any energy, Shakti. He's so desperately in separation from Mahaprabhu that he could barely even stand. So Gopinath Ji himself sat down to receive the garland of Gadadhar Pandit. We only have seen this sitting posture in Gopinath, in Jagannath Puri. What? Oh, I thought you said something. So, in the same way, Giriraj is shrinking every day in separation from Krishna. But still, a mustard seed is what? At least a millimeter? So, it's about a foot a year? 5,000 feet? That's about a mile. Imagine Govardhan being a mile higher. I remember Srila Gurudev saying, I remember when Giriraj was so high that Govardhan used to cast a shadow on Mathura in the evening. And that maybe from when Gurudev was here in another time or this time, but he's been there for more than 50 years. So a foot a year would be 50 feet, right? So within 100 years, we may not see Giriraj anymore. Within 100 years. It'll be difficult to find even any remnant of Giriraj, except maybe the Shilas that people have. So, at that time, being over a mile higher, also Giriraj would be much wider, because as Giriraj is sinking, like a, what do they call that? Iceberg in the ocean. If you rise it up, you see how much is underneath. But if you push it down, then you see less and less of what's underneath. So Giriraj is sinking, but Giriraj is there. So there were so many caves, waterfalls, different beautiful places. It is even said that Govardhan was like a, you can say like a crater. There was a special entrance into a secret compartment. Within that area was Radha Kund and Shyama Kund, and not everyone knew how to go there. This was very hidden, Radha Kund and Shyama Kund. We don't hear of any pastimes of Nanda Baba, Yashoda, or any of them going to that place. But we hear of Radha and Krishna's pastimes there. And also some of the cowherd boys, that they gave those kunjas to the gopis. So when you go to Radha Kund, Shyama Kund, and that area, you see that all of these places, this cowherd boy gave it to this gopi, this one gave it to that gopi. Lalita Kunda is there, Radha Kund, Vishaka Kund, so many different kunds, and kunjas are there. So these calves were wandering beyond the eyesight of everyone, and Brahma stole them. So Gurudev is saying Govardhan, he may have placed them in the caves of Govardhan. Govardhan is quite extensive and there are many caves there. When they didn't see the calves, the boys said, "Where have the calves gone?" Krishna suggested, "I will go and bring them back myself. I will just play the flute and they will return of their own accord. You all just continue eating. I am going." Why did Krishna do this? To play a trick on Brahma. And so that he could become the boys and the calves himself. Remember, all of those mothers, they had so much affection for Krishna that they would actually lather him with as much or even more affection than their own children. The cows would not give milk to their own calves unless Krishna was in the vicinity. Then their milk would start spontaneously flowing and they would give milk to their calves. So they all wanted to have this Vatsalya praying for Krishna. And all of the parents of all of these cowherd boys also wanted to experience this Vatsalya praying for Krishna. And Krishna's nature is that he fulfills the desire of everyone. Also, it was the time for all of the young gopis to become married. In Vedic culture, persons would become married much younger. It wasn't that they lived together with their husbands necessarily, but like our Gurudev was married to his wife, this was when he was young. He was very young and she was very young. Very, very young. I mean, I think 5 and 10, something like that. But she lived with her parents until she was, I think, 16 or 17 years old. And then she moved in with her husband. So they would marry people very, very young. Then they didn't have to worry, do I have a partner? Do I have to go and search for my partner? And then be rejected and rejected and rejected again. Everything was just arranged in such a way. So that was how it was in Vedic culture as well. These days, we may try to superimpose our mundane ideals onto that and think this is crazy and wrong. But the Vedic culture is the Vedic culture. Krishna's culture is Krishna's culture. So if we are Krishna conscious and devotees of Krishna, then we can assume that Krishna's culture, Mahaprabhu's culture, that is the culture we are aspiring to enter into. Whatever culture we're currently living in is a temporary imposition on the mind, but one day we will have to enter into the culture of Mahaprabhu and the culture of Krishna if we really want to awaken our eternal loving nature as servants of Krishna. So Krishna wanted to play a trick on Brahma so that he could become the boys and the calves himself. wanting to fulfill the desires of all of his devotees. Therefore, he arranged precisely what Brahma desired. See, first the calves wandered away, so Brahma was able to take them. Then Krishna wandered away from the cowherd boys to go find the calves. So then Brahma is able to come and take the cowherd boys. Therefore, he arranged precisely what Brahma desired, that he would somehow become separated from the other boys. Brahma saw this and thought, the very thing I desired has now happened. I wanted to kidnap the boys when Krishna was not watching, and now I have the perfect opportunity. Of his own accord, Krishna has gone away. Krishna went away, and how did he go? In the carefree manner of a young cowherd, with a handful of yogurt and rice. So, the cowherd boys, they're not always just washing their hands when they're eating. They're sitting around together. Krishna's walking away with a handful of yogurt and rice, and just eating it like that. You know how the Bengali devotees on Parikrama, how they eat rice and dal, like this and that. So Krishna has yogurt and rice in his hand. But searching and searching, he thought, where have the calves gone? So it's interesting that Krishna's own self in another form, whose function it is to bewilder the mind of anyone, has taken care of everything. And Yoga Maya is his own internal potency. She has arranged everything. And then Krishna has gone out to search for the calves, and he's thinking, where have they gone? This is Mugdhata. Means by the divine potency of Krishna known as Yoga Maya, Krishna himself can become bewildered. So he doesn't think at this time that I'm God. He's like, where have my calves gone? And he's actually really wondering, where have they gone? Mugdhata. After a little while, when he couldn't find the calves, he returned to the lunch area and saw that the boys had also vanished. Brahma had also taken them and confined them within a cave. So Brahma stole the calves first, now he stole the cowherd boys, and he confined them within some cave, maybe in Govardhan. And Krishna was wondering, where are my calves? Where are my friends? Krishna actually did not know anything. This is a very interesting statement. Krishna is Sarvagya. He knows everything, past, present, and future. Not even a blade of grass moves without his sanction. But this same Krishna also has another function known as Mugdhata. We've been speaking about it for days. That he can also be covered. In Vrindavan, he's actually in such a bhav, in such a mood that he thinks, I'm just the son of Yashoda and Nanda Baba. I'm just a friend of Sridam, Sudam, Dam, Vasudam. Balaram is my older brother. I love the cows and the calves. Radhika is my dear most beloved, and all of her gopi friends are also my dear most beloveds. And he doesn't think I am God, and they don't think he is God. Jiva Pavana Prabhu, can you please once again post that from Srila Prabhupada, the purport that he gave on Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. The Brajavasis, they don't know that Krishna is God. All they know is that they love him. All they know is that they love him. And he also forgets he's God because their love is so great that he also becomes completely subjugated by it. He's actually running in fear of the stick of his mother. Really afraid, really crying, really in deep anxiety. Although death itself is afraid of him, he's afraid of this small little stick of his mother. This is called Mugdhata. Mugdha means like illusion or bewildered. Krishna himself becomes bewildered, and he has somehow allowed his internal potency to make this happen so that his own pastimes can be relished in their highest extent. Yogamaya arranges all of this. He didn't know anything. Krishna, searching and searching, he could not find or see his friends, and the calves were nowhere to be found. He still had that uneaten rice in his hand, and his face became withered from unhappiness. It means he became quite worried. He became overwhelmed with fear, thinking, what will I say to all of their mothers? All the calves have been lost and now I don't see the boys either. So he was quite concerned. What happened? As any child would be if suddenly all of their friends and responsibilities just went missing. What happened? I do not see the boys either. What will I tell their mothers and the Brajbasis? Krishna was very worried. His limbs were covered with dust and his face was withered from hunger, thirst, and unhappiness. Sarvagyata means the aspect of being all-knowing was absent here. So both are present within him. But at this point, Gurudev is saying Sarvagyata. The aspect of being all-knowing was absent. Really, he was just like a small, ordinary child, completely worried and concerned. Where have my friends and calves gone? After a little while, Yogamaya thought, I should offer some service. She suddenly appeared there to render service. Remember, Yoga Maya is the other side of the coin of Mahamaya. Mahamaya's function is for deluding the jivas of this world, the tatashta jivas. And Yoga Maya's function is for, I want to use the word deluding, but I'm going to use the word including Krishna and all of his transcendental associates so that they can all perform their wonderful and sweet pastimes unimpeded with Aishwarya Gyan. So her function in Vrindavan is to create this situation so that they can play, so that they can be like ordinary, like human pastimes, Naravat Lila. Not that Krishna suddenly will show his universal form and then Arjuna will apologize. I'm so sorry for calling you friend. I'm so sorry for all the aparads I've made to you. In Vrindavan, this cannot happen. It does not happen. Everyone just thinks Krishna is my dearest beloved, my prananath. They don't think he's God. This is the speciality of Vrindavan. And this is what Krishna loves more than anything. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated there that love which is forced with Aishwarya Gyan, forced by knowledge of my opulence and absoluteness. Love which is forced by this kind of knowledge is made feeble, is weak. But the chastising words, the love and affection of my Brajabasis, this completely controls me. When his mother is chastising him, when his gopis are calling him lampa, cheater, when his mother is calling him chor, you butter thief, I know you, you're a thief. Oh, Krishna is feeling so much bliss and happiness by this. So Yogamaya thought, I should offer some service to Krishna. She suddenly appeared there to render service. And then Krishna remembered, oh yes, through Yogamaya I engineered this entire situation to create this pastime and to fulfill the desires of the Brajbasis. Then Krishna expanded and assumed forms identical to those of the boys and calves. So for every boy and every calf that was lost, Krishna himself expanded and made exact duplicates, replicas, exact. Millions and millions of calves and millions of cowherd boys. Krishna himself expanded himself into all of these forms. He sat his friends back down and fed them himself, and everyone was very happy. So he was engaging with all of them in the same way that he was previously engaging with all of the other cowherd boys. And it's not that each of these new identical cowherd boys are thinking, I am Krishna. This is the power of Krishna. Aghatana patiyasi shakti. To make the impossible possible. Each form is there thinking, I am a sakha of Krishna. And they're interacting with Krishna in the same way that Krishna was interacting with all of the other cowherd boys. They're eating. So he sat them down and fed him himself, and everyone was very happy. Their eating, drinking, and laughing went on as it had before. And then in the late afternoon, they all returned to their homes. please forgive me. I just said something which I have never heard or confirmed, so I'm just calling myself out right now. I just said that each one was thinking they are the original cowherd boy. I do not know that. I have not heard that or read that. I don't know why that came out. So, shame on me. Hare Krishna. So, please forgive me for that. This is part of Krishna's own manifestations, but he's interacting with them exactly as he was interacting with all of his cowherd boys, all of his cowherd boyfriends, and all of the calves. This is exactly as before. Everyone was very happy. Their eating, drinking, and laughing went on as it had before, and then in the late afternoon they all returned to their homes. All of the mothers thought, "Ah, my son has returned." And they were giving their children, their sons, or who they thought were their sons, so much love and affection. Normally they would have to wait before embracing their children that they could see Krishna, and this would increase their vatsalya prem, and then they would give that affection to their children. But this time, immediately, they were giving so much love and affection to their sons. And those calves ran to their mothers, and immediately their mothers started giving milk, as if Krishna was right there. So the vatsalya prem spontaneously manifested. One little shortcut here. It's interesting in this case. When Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaja, he explained that when Uddhava came to Vrindavan, because he has an appearance similar to Krishna, he was also wearing yellow dress, and he had a darkish complexion just like Krishna. And Krishna sent him on his own chariot. So a rumor had gone around Vrindavan that Krishna had returned. And everyone was becoming so excited. And that rumor came to the ears of Srimati Radhika. And she would not accept it. Why? Because from within her heart, spontaneous madhurya ras did not manifest. She felt vatsalya prem, vatsalyata manifesting in her heart. Karunam kurumayi karuna bharite means this mercy and vatsalyata, like a parental mood, because the devotee had come. And she's affectionately inclined toward Krishna's devotees, but with the mood of vatsalyata. So she did not accept that it was Krishna, because this mood of vatsalyata was manifesting in her heart. I just wanted to share that beautiful little snippet of katha from Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. So in this case, all of the mothers, all of the cows, they began to lavish their own children with complete vatsalya prem. They were thinking it as their own children, but it was expansions of Krishna. Previously, they had gone first to Krishna to look after him and give him motherly affection, and then they would attend to their own children. This is the nature of Vrindavan. There's only one center in Vrindavan, and that is Krishna. Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj explained that in this world, well, he was explaining that in Krishna consciousness, like a compass needle, if there's one center, you can draw thousands and thousands of circles, and there will be no conflict with any of them. They will all complement one another. They will all be harmonized. This is the nature of Vrindavan. Because Krishna is the center. Even though there may be different groups and this and that, all of it is exclusively for Krishna's happiness, so there's actually no conflict anywhere. But in this material world, each person is trying to be Krishna themselves. And so what you find are thousands and millions and trillions of different centers, and what you will find is intersection, conflict everywhere. So if the world becomes Krishna conscious, that is how real harmony can be manifested. But selfish, self-centeredness, any desire other than the desire to serve Krishna, that is the cause of all conflict and all problems. So here we see that Krishna is the center. First they would serve Krishna, then they would tend to their own children. However, on that day they all looked after their own children first and forgot about Krishna. How about that? That day was different. They all attended to their own children first and forgot about Krishna, because all of those own children were direct manifestations of Krishna. Only Yashoda looked after Krishna. And the rest of the mothers looked after their own children. That day, the cows disregarded their younger calves. So they had younger calves. Krishna was taking out the little bit older calves. You know, there's baby newborns, and then there's the 1-year-olds. Krishna was taking out the 1-year-olds. They're kind of like half-size, really cute, really cute. We've got like 20 of them outside of Gopinath Bhavan. So, that day, the cows disregarded their younger calves and showed more attention to their older calves who had returned from the forest with Krishna, feeding them milk and licking them. So this is interesting. We see that something else happened. Normally, the cow would be much more attentive to the youngest one, but they're giving more affection and priority to the slightly senior calves. These pastimes took place, these leelas took place for 1 year like this. 1 year. I'm just going to see if there's any questions. One very quickly. One question. In the context of Mahamaya, Maya, that which is not. In the context of Yogamaya, what does Maya mean? Kishori, Mohan, Sudevi? So, Maya means that which is not. And in the case of Yogamaya, you can say that which is not, but it is not the same thing. Mahamaya is Krishna's bewildering potency, external potency. And Yogamaya is his internal potency. So their function is different. So Maya, you can say that which is not. Well, we know that Krishna is God. But in Vrindavan, they don't know he's God. So you can say that which is not, but still it is transcendental. It is by his internal potency, by his own transcendental desire, that it is taking place like this. So you can say Maya means that which is not, but we need to understand it in the context. That's why we're using this transcendental deluding potency, but I use the term including potency. So that those personalities can experience that ras without the imposition of Aishwarya Gyan, or the knowledge of Krishna's opulence, awe and reverence and godhood, that they can experience Nara Lila. Then this is his transcendental deluding potency for the purpose of including all of his transcendental associates in his sweet pastimes.
And himself.
And himself, for his happiness and his pleasure, and naturally and spontaneously, automatically, their happiness and their pleasure. Because their only mood is how to please Krishna.
So everything is reversed.
To give love, to give pleasure, to give happiness to Krishna for his benefit. Then automatically he wants to reciprocate with that. So all they know is that we love him, all they know is he loves them. All he knows is that he loves them. Because he's also in that state in Vrindavan. So Yogamaya is such. I'm going to say that which is not. So from an Aishwarya perspective, like the great sages and yogis, they will look at it and go, oh my God, how is it possible that my God is being slammed in the dust by his friends? Sridham and Krishna were having a wrestling match. And as they were having a wrestling match, Sridham took Krishna, Sridham took Krishna and flipped him and slammed him in the dust and jumped on top of him and said, I have won. And Krishna said, no, you've not. I won. And the boys were like, what? And Sridham was saying, what? How have you won? I'm on top of you. I slammed you in the dust. I have won. And Krishna said, no, you haven't. They said, how have I not won? Krishna said, because my nose is pointed up and yours is pointed down. So, I have won. And they're like, that's cheating. That's cheating. And then they went over, they said, oh, look, that Baba there. It was Durvasa. He saw everything. And he was just like this. Completely mesmerized. Thinking, my God, yam mitram paramanandam purna brahma sanatana. Aho bhagyam nanda gopa brajokasam. The supreme absolute truth, the supreme Lord, the supreme God, the origin of everything, is playing like an ordinary child in the courtyard of Nanda Baba. How is this? So from their perspective, the tattva perspective, they're seeing that this is God. And how is it possible that he's being defeated and slammed in the dust by his friend? But from the perspective of the Brajavasis, they will never see that Krishna is God. They cannot see that. They only know that he is our dearest beloved, that we love him. He is our everything, and that he loves us. This is all they know. They don't know all of that other thing. And this is for Krishna's transcendental pleasure. By having that kind of lila, which is by the presence of Yoga Maya, they will say that is not. Oh, he's not really crying. The sages may say that. Those who are having knowledge of Aishwarya Gyan, Paramatma Gyan.
Just like Parvati or Sati.
Just like the wife of Lord Shiva, who was known as Sati subsequently, because she immolated herself subsequently, but she did not trust her husband when he said that Ram is Bhagavan, because Ram was crying like an ordinary man for his wife, going from place to place. Where are you, Sita? Sita, Sita, where are you? And he was weeping and crying. And Mahadev is doing austerity and chanting his name, saying, this is Bhagavan. Wow, look at the pastimes of the Lord. So Mahadev understood that this is God. And she was thinking, it is just an ordinary man. And he said, if you don't believe me, you can test him. And she said, no, 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 I believe you. And then she went to test him. And she kept disrupting his leela, so he manifested that.
She took the form of Sita.
She actually took the form, I spoke this just a couple days ago, so.
But no.
She took the form of Sita and stood in front of Ram. She looked just like Sita, and he kept turning the other way. Sita, Sita, and was completely neglecting her. And she would stand in front of him and block his way. And she was thinking, how can he be Bhagavan? He's weeping and crying. And then finally he said, Mother, please. He called her Mother. Please don't disturb my pastime. So he was fully absorbed. Fully absorbed. And she disrupted that pastime. She created some rasabhas, some disruption in the pastime, incompatibility. And then he manifested to her. She saw that in every leaf, in every particle, in every atom, was Sita and Ram everywhere. And she realized, oh my God, what have I done? And then her husband, Lord Shiva, he knew everything. She actually lied to him when she went back. She said, no, I believed you. I didn't need to test him. And from that moment, he would only sit opposite her. Because Ram, she took the position of Sita, who is like the mother, this universal mother of Lord Shiva. Then Lord Shiva would only treat her as mother. She could not tolerate this. So, as a subsequent result of her father's aparad, Daksha Prajapati, and being treated as the mother of Shiva, although she was his wife, but he was respecting her as mother, she could not tolerate that. So she sat down in one place and, from her own self, committed sati, immolated herself, and then she came back as Parvati, the daughter of the mountains, Parvati. So, these pastimes are all transcendental, but we should understand that in Vrindavan, in transcendental Vrindavan, Aishwarya Gyan is not in control here. What is in control here? Love is in control. Srimad Narayan cannot manifest here. Sometimes Krishna tries, and the gopis are like, Dandavat Pranam Narayan, have you seen Krishna? They're only thinking of Krishna, constantly absorbed in Krishna, 24 hours a day. And Lakshmi Devi is still doing austerities to enter Rasalila, still to this day, in Shrivan, Belvan. So Vrindavan is such a place where love is controlling everything. Love is controlling Krishna. Love is controlling the Brajavasis. Prem is ruling everything. It is a place where everyone is controlled by love and affection. It is the place where Krishna himself is able to put down his guard and his godhood and forget all of that and just be himself. Just be himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as he's telling Sri Sanatan Goswami, what is the absolute truth? The truth about the Supreme Lord? Krishner Swarup Vichar. The truth about the nature of Krishna, listen Sanatan, Shuno Sanatan, Advait Gyan Tattva, the supreme non-dual absolute truth, is none other than Braje Brajendra Nandan, the son of Nandan Maharaj, Krishna in Vrindavan. And that is his mood. He's only running, chasing after, and greedy for the love and affection of his pure devotees. So this is the function of Yogamaya, to cover Krishna so that he doesn't remember or think I'm God, and to cover the Brajavasis so that they don't remember or think he is God. And this is all for the pleasure and happiness of Krishna. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhaktivedanta Guru Varga ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. What is the difference between the pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan and the pastimes of Vrindavan of this world? Abhishek Prabhu? No, that's a very quick one. Certain aspects take place in Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan, and certain things take place in Homa Vrindavan. Although the Leelas essentially are the same in Aprakat Vrindavan, which we do not see, there are rumors of demons. They feel that the demons are there, but we don't see that there are any demons. Also, here we see that